up, beautiful? It's your girl Chanel Lemire back again with the latest episode of the What She Goes Through podcast. Woohoo! So I'm on a roll. So I don't know if it's been Clubhouse or now that my baby's in daycare, but I got all the time in the world. And now that it's International Women's Month, I'm just trying to do all the things and be a better me March also. So with that comes relationships and building connections and just the whole Clubhouse vibe. Usually it's a lot of older women or older people on there, right? So I mean that's fun. But as I continue to be on there, I just saw this icon of another person who was just always in the rooms that I was in. And then I heard her speak, and then the 48 Empowerment Summit, you was there with us rocking it out 1 in the morning. I was like, oh, like she's in here. And then I looked at your profile and you were like more on the younger side like me. So like, of course, I'm gonna like be all up in your business. Like, yes, let's connect and all those things. So I know I just talked your head off, beautiful, but I'm talking about our guest today. And her name is Shaniqua. Is it Horstead?
Yep.
With it the first time, and she is a brand and social media coach. And once we give you all the handles, when you go over there, you're just going to love her content and the websites and all that. I was taking notes. I already got a couple of the questions, not questions, but a couple of some things that I'm going to be using for my business too. But I just wanted to give you a nice introduction because I don't tend to introduce myself correctly. I just jump right into it and people be like, oh, well, what's your name? I'm like, oh, sorry, my name is Chanel. Nice to meet you.
No,
But yes, just how are you feeling?
I appreciate it. First, thank you for the opportunity. I don't take it lightly when people allow me to come on their platforms. So thank you. I'm feeling great. I'm excited. And I'm looking forward to this podcast episode helping a lot of other Black female entrepreneurs to build their businesses and do it authentically. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yes. See, like she's excited. I'm excited too. So we're just going to jump into our first question. And I love this question because it allows you to get a little deep, just a little bit. Not, how are you? Like, what do you do? It's who are you, Shaniqua? Who are you in this moment right here, right now?
That's a really good question. And, who I am is a woman who wants to empower other women. That is who I am at my core. I really want to see other women win. I want to see other women living their most fulfilled life. And that is my passion. And I believe that's my purpose. I believe that's what God called me to do. And I want to do all that He has for me. I think a lot of times people want to be very big and famous. I don't want to be that. I just want to be impactful. Shaniqua is a woman of impact. Shaniqua is a woman of empowerment. She is a woman who likes to look good and feel good.
Okay.
That's who I am. I'm lately starting to embrace my sexy side. So I like that about myself. I think a lot of times as Christians, because I am a believer, so I think a lot of times as Christians, we think that we have to cover up all the time. So I am a woman who embraces being a woman, and I want to help other women to do the same thing. I hope that answered the question.
It did. It definitely did. And I just want to dig deep on some of the things that you just said, because I think that would be just, I can align with that. So you said that you're embracing your sexy side. Like, okay, so I definitely was stalking you a little bit. Was checking out your content, and I saw that you was in them dance classes. Like, listen, I used to be a dancer. And I don't know if momhood or all of that like clouded my vision, but I'm trying to get back into it. Like I want to do that. And I'm all for embracing your your sexy side and all the things. So let's talk about that. Like why do people feel that like we I don't know if it's just as Black women, like we can't be like sexy, like, and then like you said, like as a Christian, like why can't all of those two be together if that's who you are inside, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I think that it was because I was fearful of judgment from like church members or pastors or things like that. And I'm a wife. I'm married. I have kids, and I think that a lot of times we allow those titles to overshadow who we are. That's why I love your first question: is who is Shaniqua? That's the foundation of my brand. I want every woman to become beautifully themselves. Like I want you to be beautifully Chanel. I am beautifully Shaniqua. And so, I think that we allow those roles and those titles and those stigmas to hinder us from being authentic, and I think that a lot of times sex and sexuality and feminine energy, those are things that are not shared or talked about in the Christian space. And why that is, I can't say. I think that's just from generation to generation. Back in the day, women couldn't even wear pants to church, and
Mhm.
so we've gotten away from that a little bit. But let somebody come in church with a low cut dress these days, she still might get a little side eye. So I don't know, I think it comes from generational things, and I think also just the limitations, the judgment, and the ideas that other people will have about us.
Yeah. And I love that you said sometimes the just trying to embrace your sexy side, sometimes like it hinders us from being authentic. And I feel like you were definitely speaking to me, because that is a big part of my life. Figuring out who I was and just being free to be me. And that goes with like relationships too. Like before, I would kind of attach myself to, like, the person, and say if they're like, oh well, I don't want you to go out no more. Now that I'm not, that's not saying that I'm not gonna go out, but like now I'm like more mindful of like how they might view me, like, oh, maybe he thinks that, oh, I'm this and that because I go out. Or even now, with trying to grow my business and try to share more of myself, I feel that I'm hindering myself of being authentic, because I don't know, maybe it's the judgment, maybe it's unwanted people that will see me in this view that I don't want them to, and no matter how much I try to block them, like, they still get through. Like maybe it's that, but now I got to stop worrying about that and just showing up to be me, cuz at the end of the day, it's just me. So, well, I got family, I got kids and stuff too, but like we're talking about us right now. So I definitely want to be like you when I grow up, the embracing the sexy side. And I'm more of the videographer, the storyteller, so I have all these different ideas in my head that I would love to, like, for them to come in fruition and be able to make those things a reality, and not just, or even have somebody else do it, but like I need to get that part of me out. And I'm just so happy that I'm in a position to do so. And then I got women like you who just show up and just be on live and just be authentic, like you said. And like, I can do that. Like, I could just be regular, show the kids, show me being all frustrated and stuff. Like, just, uh, I'm gonna try to do that.
Yeah,
So,
you should. I definitely encourage you to do so, because the authentic version of you is going to attract your tribe. It's going to attract people who, are like you and want to continue to grow and learn and be more like you too. So, yeah.
yes, yes, I'm gonna get there.
It wasn't always like that either.
Yeah.
I have taught, the video that you saw was from, I used to teach twerk, like a twerk fitness class, but it was all about empowerment, right?
Yes.
It wasn't just we come in and we dance. Like, no, we would get in the mirror, we would affirm ourselves, we would say nice things to ourselves, we would be comfortable with our bodies, we would look at our bodies. Because a lot of times women try to cover their bodies or conceal.
Mm-hmm.
No, every lump, every roll, every bump. No, we're about to embrace this today. So get in the mirror and affirm yourself and tell yourself that you are fine, that you are sexy, that you are powerful. And so that was more so what it was about, in those classes. And I was afraid to share those videos. I was afraid to share those videos, honestly. My coach, I have a coach too.
Of course, coaches need coaches too.
Yes, yes. My coach that I've been working with for the last year and a half, she was like, "You need to be sharing this. You need to be incorporating this into your brain." I was like, "No, no, no, I don't want to. I don't want to." And then that first video that you're referring to, that's the first video where I actually shared that video. And now people actually want me to bring those classes.
Yes, like, and then especially if it's visual, I'm in there, like, so I can show y'all that I know. I really do know how to dance. I'm a little rusty, and I got to get the modern dances down pack, because there's a lot of new stuff. But I do shake my butt, and now that I got two kids, my butt kind of is not that firm no more, so it shakes a little better. So I'm just. But I love that you said getting in the mirror. I think I talked about that before. Like sometimes just standing in the mirror and just looking at yourself, like looking at your body, looking at your stomach, all the stretch marks and all of those things. Like you birthed two human beings, like, and I'm small too. So that was a big ass job that I had to do. And this is what I'm left with, like, and that is fine. So I'm still beautiful and all those things, and looking at myself, looking in your face, like in your own eyes, and having a connection with that person, because like it's different when you see yourself and actually see yourself, because like all the stuff inside you, sometimes that can be different than what you see on the outside. So just getting to know yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, it's a little deep. It's a little, you can always take everything, a step further, and like dissecting some things. So can you tell us about a personal life journey of yours that, I know you wasn't always, well, maybe you were, I may not assume, but your entrepreneurial journey, like, can you tell us about that, and maybe a personal life like journey or story that you had to grow through, like to get to that point?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I always like to talk about my experience with my second child, my daughter, who I absolutely love and adore. At first, it was difficult, but I absolutely love and adore her now. But she's the reason I actually became an entrepreneur. I had my son like 15, they're 15 months apart. So I had my son, and when I was pregnant with my daughter, actually, I didn't know I was pregnant until I was 7 months pregnant. So
Wow. You didn't have a baby bump or anything?
I didn't have a baby bump. Nope, I didn't have a baby bump. I did have extra weight though, because like I said, I had just had my son. So I'm thinking, this is just baby weight from Bryson. And so I did have a little gut, but it wasn't round. Like when you think pregnancy, you think very round and very firm. And I was having flutters. Now that I think back about it, I was having those flutters. But the reason I didn't think that I was pregnant is because I had taken at-home pregnancy tests, and those tests were negative. So that was the reason I, believed that I wasn't pregnant. I really wasn't showing. And, when I found out that I was pregnant with my daughter at almost 7 months, it was devastating. It was devastating. Me and my husband were in no position to be able to have or afford another child. And so it was really devastating. And I found myself thinking, like, am I going to be stuck in this rut and in this cycle for the rest of my life? Like, just selling my time to the highest bidder. If one job is paying me $1 more, I go run to that job. If another job is paying me $2 more, I'm going to go run into that job. And so I was like, I don't want to be in this cycle, because I've seen this cycle so many times before in my family. family, you know, my mom, my grandmother, my great grandmother. It's just a constant cycle of work, 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 work. And then what do we have to show for it, or what do we have to pass down to our kids? And so when I found out I was pregnant with her at 7 months, it was just like a wake, like a aha moment. It was like a light bulb went off. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to live this robotic lifestyle. I am not going to continue to sell my hour to the next highest bidder. I am not going to continue to have absolutely nothing to leave for my kids as a legacy. And you know, $20 an hour is not enough for me and the lifestyle that I want to live, or the lifestyle that I want to give my kids. You know, I want them to have experiences. And it was like when I found out I was pregnant with her, it was like an aha moment. So the first business I had was actually in network marketing, and I actually sold paparazzi jewelry, if you know what that is.
I think, yeah, I do know what that is.
Yes. So for those of you who don't know, it's like basically $5 jewelry. And so you buy the jewelry for like $2 and then you resell it for $5. And that was my very first business that I was operating in. And I liked it, but I always found myself wanting to have deeper connections with the women. So like women would come to my booth and we would talk, and I would just talk. I would pay vendor fee and I would just talk to women the whole time. And my husband was like, "Did you sell any jewelry?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot I was here to sell."
Right.
And so I would just start these conversations, and I would have these conversations, and I realized that that's what I craved. I craved connecting. I always wanted to know what made people the way that they are. I wanted to ask questions. I wanted to help elevate them. And when they, you know, came to my booth, yes, it was a piece of jewelry, but it was also a piece of confidence that they were taking. So I actually started confidence coaching.
Yes. Like a piece of confidence. I'm trying to write it down, like, and you're just like dropping a lot of gems. So Beautiful, if you're listening, definitely have a notebook going on, because she's giving them all.
Yeah. So that's a little piece of like my entrepreneurial journey, and kind of like how I got into entrepreneurship. And yeah, so all of those things.
So how did you start? Like, how did you transition from this thing to the confidence coach? Like, what was the first things that you had to do in order to start?
The first thing that I did is I was researching consulting, because I was thinking about starting some sort of consulting business. I didn't know what coaching was. So I actually started researching like how I could consult with other companies and other businesses. I thought about maybe coming into companies and doing like some team trainings, like team training exercises to build trust amongst team members and things like that. So I started researching, and I came across, you know, coaching. And there was a woman, her name is Angel Richardson, and I came across her videos. I went live with her last week. I came across her videos on YouTube, and she was talking about life coaching. And so that's how I kind of got into coaching. I went and got my certification as a certified life coach. And you know, through her program, she talked about different types of life coaches, and she talked about a confidence coach and an empowerment coach. And so that's kind of how I got into that. So I found her on YouTube. I consumed a lot of her, you know, YouTube content about coaching and how to become a coach. I went through certification, I got certified, and then I started putting myself out there as a coach.
And you do a really good job at putting yourself out there too. Like, I mean, you got it all. You got all your ducks in a row. Like, I'm like, dang, she's hard with it. And I didn't even know. It was just like an extra bonus, because here I'm having this like connection with you on Clubhouse. And then when I finally like head over to your Instagram, I'm like, she's popping. Like, no wonder why she's like just coming here blowing everybody out, like, you know, at Clubhouse. Like, so that's awesome. So in order to actually become a coach, do you have to have a coaching license, or can you have a degree in, like, you know, the certain fields like psych and soc?
That's a really good question. And actually, coaching is not regulated. That's why a lot of people sometimes you find people who love it, sometimes you find people who hate it, but it's not regulated. Literally, anybody can start referring to themselves as the coach at any given moment. A certificate is not required. A degree is not required. It's a good thing to have, and I recommend that everybody go through a certification, but it's not a requirement. Anybody can pop up and start. Anybody can pop up and start calling themselves a coach at any given time. So it's not regulated, and that's why there's a lot of different ideas around coaching and different opinions around coaching. But you don't need a degree, and even a certification is not required.
Well, that's something to put in the back of my mind, because I think I definitely want to eventually travel in that field, because I have a degree in psych and social, and like you were saying, you wanted to understand people, and that's what I wanted to do. And just going into college, I wanted to be a doctor. I thought so, a pediatrician. But then I got in there and saw them classes, and I wasn't trying to do all that. But my mom, just growing up, it was me, my mom, and my sister, and we were all we got. Like, that's something that we still say, like, to this day, like, we're all we got. So just growing up with her, and she struggled with major depressive disorder, anxiety disorder, like those things. Back in that time, I didn't understand that, so I'm taking it the wrong way, thinking like, why don't she like me, So I kind of wanted to understand her, and I wanted to understand why people think the way that they do and things like that. So that's why I decided to go into psychology and sociology, and I was going to niche it down to applied developmental psychology so that I can work more so with children, but I wanted it to be broad just in case, I wanted it to be more of an expansive thing. So when I started my entrepreneur journey, it was with a commercial cleaning franchise. And it saved me so much time, because here I can do this one contract and get paid damn near the same amount as what I'm doing for this job that I have to have a degree in. It was a mental health worker, but they wasn't paying us nothing. Like, I think I left there making $16.50 an hour, and you were talking about 28 or something, and I'm like, well, I'm about to tell her like my figures. But yes, it was tough.
My last job that I had was in the treasury management department at a bank, and my salary was $22.18 an hour, or my hourly pay was $22.18.
The cost of living down in North Carolina is way better than Pittsburgh. That's why I kind of want to like live down there, because I used to look at houses down there. Like, you can get nice houses and they pay you better. You can get some more sun, like the southern thing, because I feel like I'm definitely southern, like, Caribbean, all the things. Like, I'm gonna do the DNA thing just to see like what I am, just to solidify it, because I know deep down that I'm all these things. I'm not just Pittsburghese or Pittsburghian, however they say that, Pittsburgher.
No, you probably are. You probably are. I want to know the results when you get them back.
Yes, definitely. So I can look at my baby, because 2 light brights made her, and she's darker than us. Like, oh, wow. So, and I didn't see that one coming, like, for sure. The whole craved connection thing, that's what I wanted to do, and that's why I decided to start the podcast, so that I can start aligning with other Black women, because it's just something about us Black women that, like, it's just a level of understanding. Like, like when you hear their stories, like, you are going to understand in some way, and that they'll be able to see you and understand you. So I definitely wanted to do something like this, and now I feel like I'm whole, because now I have the connections, but then I can still pursue my passion with videography and then connect the two, and it's going well. Now I just got to take all the tips and look at your page to see how I can, constantly get to grow in my page, because I have all the knowledge. I just got to put it in action, basically. Yeah. But seeing your stuff, seeing you show up, is definitely about to put some power up under me. Like, oh, she's doing it. She's doing so good. I could do that.
Yes, good. I'm so glad. And you have a degree. And a lot of people who are in the mental health field and a lot of people who are therapists are actually leaving practices and becoming
Mhm.
coaches. They're taking what they've, done in their business and in their companies and in their jobs and in their, therapy practices, and they are applying that and building their own coaching businesses.
Yes.
So I have seen that. I know three people who have left their full-time job as therapists and coaching full time.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be me. I'm gonna do it. Like, yeah, but that's one of my long-term goals. In terms of, like, I know you were talking about like how you got started, and can you share with us like a little bit of your why, but like just looking back at how far you came, would you, the decisions that you made to get to this point, like, I won't even ask you would you change those, but like what is your view on those things, if that makes sense? I tried to get that out.
No, that makes sense. So I would change some things. I absolutely would. The number one thing I would change is starting earlier. I wish that I had started sooner and listened to that feeling that I had when I was selling those pieces of jewelry, that desire to want more and have more of a connection with people and understand women. I wish I had listened to that earlier and started coaching and building the type of connections that I have now earlier. And then as far as like my why, I'll just go, kind of reiterate with my why. It's about reminding women that we are more than what labels society wants to give us, whether that's mom, whether that's daughter, whether that's employee, whether that's wife. Like, you can still be an individual. That's why I love the very first question that you asked, because we are individuals. You are still a woman. Before you are a mother, before you are a wife, before you pour into anybody or anything else, you got to prioritize you. And so that's why I started the confidence coaching, because I wanted to break through those barriers. That's what it's about for me. I want to break down those limiting beliefs that have us stuck, and the stories that we tell ourselves that prevent us from propelling forward or moving forward in our business and our lives. Some women are career driven women. They want careers, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But if that's genuinely what you desire and what you want for yourself and for your life, go after that wholeheartedly. And if it's not, go after something different. So, that's my why. I want us to be beautifully and wonderfully ourselves, the way that God created us to be, regardless of the titles that He's blessed us with, and the family and the connections and things that He's blessed us with. We can't pour from an empty cup. So I want women to prioritize themselves. I want them to prioritize their passions, and I want them to prioritize their purpose.
Yes, let me write that one down. Prioritize your purpose. Now, have you talked about these kind of things like on Clubhouse, like because you just do a really good job at speaking.
Not really on Clubhouse. I'm still kind of new to Clubhouse. I'm still getting my footing in on Clubhouse. So I really mostly talk about like Instagram or branding on Clubhouse. But on my Instagram, that's where I really share like a lot of my story and experiences and things like that.
Okay. And I'm definitely going to put you on like the notifications. I'm gonna put that bell on there so that I can get notified when you're doing certain things, so I can tap in and support you. Prioritize your purpose. I love that. I wanted to talk a little bit on that because I feel like I'm just now getting into my purpose. Like, it really takes you to show up and practice and put yourself out there to figure out like what exactly is your purpose. So like me, just I always like taking pictures. So me being able to start video and then seeing other people enjoy it, and like that like does something to me. And then like doing other people's videos, and like I'm always emotional when I get their responses back. So it's like I like that. Like I like being in this position, but I still felt like I wanted to do something else because I'm still behind the camera. I want to be in front of the camera, like, not all the time, But like you said, I don't want to be famous. I want to be impactful. So like all these different like ideas and stuff that I have in my head, like in order to get them done, I had to be on the other side of the camera, you know, but now I have so many different people that I'm connecting with and like just offering different services so that, you know, I can go and I can film you, but then I could teach you how to film me. And there it's a, like it's a win-win type of situation. And nobody is doing that. And I'm like, just the whole collaboration with yourself, like, you know, Chanel Amir Films and what she grows through is collabing. Like, I think that's so dope. And in those moments when I started like putting those together, I was like, wow, this is it. This is nice. It feels nice, you know? So I want to keep going and growing. And I feel like that's a really good segue to our next question. On when you think about like what she grows through, like what does that mean for you?
Wow, that's a great question. I love the name. I love the name. I love everything that you're doing. I think it's amazing. For me, the name means it means exactly that. A lot of times we look at our circumstances and our challenges, and we think that they are hindrances. But I think that she grows through is a different perspective to that, because instead of us letting life happen to us, we're growing and evolving and learning and, you know, shifting through it. We're not just letting life happen to us. We're not just taking what it gives us. We are taking it, applying it, and we're elevating with it, right? Even if it's
Mm-hmm.
bad, even if it's ugly, even if it's dirty, if it's challenging, right? We're taking it, we're learning something from it, and then we're elevating through it. We're not just sitting in our sorrow. We're not just sitting moping around, you know. And so that's what my take on it is. Like, you know, we might be going through something bad, we might be going through something challenging, but the reality is I'm gonna make it out to the other side. And I'm looking for lessons while I'm in this storm, while I'm in this challenge. I'm looking for lessons that's gonna help me elevate to the next level, and also help me elevate somebody else, because we all know that what we go through is not just for us. It's a part of our testimony and a part of us being able to go back and help other people. So, you know, looking for the lessons. Like, I'm not just going through, I'm growing, I'm evolving, I'm blooming. I think about a flower, you know, when a flower starts from a seed, that seed has to be buried, it has to be in the dark, and then it sprouts beauty, right? And so I think that's how that would be my interpretation of the title, what she grows through. Like, we're blooming, we're blossoming, we're growing into something beautiful. We started out in a dark place, maybe, or we may be in a dark place right now, but as we water that seed, we're gonna blossom and bloom into something beautiful. And then other people will admire our beauty inside and out. Other people will, you know, stop and smell our flowers. And, you know, that's what it means to me. We growing through it.
Yes, yes, I love that. I did a lot of nods, like yes, yes, because that's the exact like interpretation of like how I was thinking, and like you got to continue to nourish that. You got to continue to nourish this flower, and knowing that even as you nourish it, it comes in different seasons, you know, like are you in your summer, your spring season when you're finally able to bloom? I feel like I'm in my spring season. Like my baby just got in her daycare, and now like all these different ideas and things are finally like sprouting, because like in that winter season when I was losing my shit for real, a whole year of stay-at-home mom, just having this big baby like on my hip everywhere, I like everywhere. It was hard, and just being a single mom at that too, and then you got a 5-year-old who's just wanting the attention, so trying to figure out how you can give this kid. So listen, it's just a lot. So that was my winter season, but like I had so many notes, and I still was trying to figure out, all right, when it is your time, you're going to sprout basically. But in terms of like nourishing yourselves, giving yourself those affirmations, surrounding yourself with like-minded women who help to build you up, knowing that you don't have to do this life thing alone, just connecting on different areas. And if you have those weeds, like you got to pluck those too. So like, you know, should I tell my business? Like, you know. I'm just saying, certain people, like, you got to get the negative people out your life also, and that can be looked as weeds, so that you have a clear head to be able to bloom and take these other challenges that are going to come. So I just love like what you said. I was talking to this other lady who talked about how the tree of how, like, it started, say, like back in the day in the 1800s when it was like slavery, and that tree then witnessed so much things, and then like it's still to this day, it's still there. It might be leaning in, but like it took its roots and it grounded itself like into the dirt and like, reclaimed its spot there, and it's the only thing that's still left. And that tree just tells so many stories that we'll never, like, we'll never know. So I just love that analogy too. So I'm just like, oh, this is just great.
I love that too. That's awesome.
Yeah, so definitely have a way with words. Do you have any tips or advice that you can give other Black women to, in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of mommyhood, or even just being a social media manager, or like whatever you want, or just being a Black woman? Like, do you have any advice or tips?
You know what? My advice is going to be to fill your cup first. No matter what area of life or area of expertise that you want to go into, this advice applies to being a mommy, it applies to being an entrepreneur, it applies to being a
Yes.
Black woman in America, it applies to everything. Fill your cup first and really spend some time thinking about what you really want. A lot of times people think that they might know what they want or have an idea, or they see something and they're like, ooh, I wish I could have that, or ooh, I wish I could experience that. Take some time and write down in great detail what you want out of life. What would be your ideal day? What would be your perfect day in a perfect world, and strive towards that. And don't let anybody, don't let anyone to deter you from that. So my first tip is to pour into yourself first. Really lean into who you are. Tip number 2, decide what you want out of life. Not what society thinks you should have, but what you want out of life. Not what your husband wants, not what your kids want, not what your family wants. What do you want out of life? And then my third tip is to connect with like-minded individuals. If you don't have somebody, I think that's what has made it very pivotal for me, is if you don't have somebody in your immediate circle, who can, help you and encourage you and give you, sound advice, find those people on the internet. Your virtual environment is just as important as your in-person, environment. So those would be the 3 things that I would say. Network and environment is very important.
Yes, for sure. Because look how we got here. Like,
Yeah,
virtual
exactly.
friends, and then we gonna meet up. But yes, it's important. And I'm learning that you have different friends for different things. Like, you can have your mommy friends who only, they can relate through that, like being a mom. But like, some of my friends, they can't relate to me being an entrepreneur. Like, or my mom, some of the things when I'm trying to talk to her about my business, and she's given me, what is it, with the commercial cleaning thing, I'm telling her, she's like, well, just don't show up. How? This is my thing. Like, what? Can you call them and tell them, like, you can't do it? Like, what? Like, this is, she doesn't understand. Or, when you got to put in those long hours. So like, I watch what I say to her, because now I'm like defensive, like, towards her, and I'm like, you don't even get it, you don't even understand, just stop. Like, but just having those, like, just certain friends, like business friends, who can understand where where you're at, and like how to get you through, and just like-minded individuals for all different categories, or all of the titles that you possess. And with that, like, you'll just have a dope ass team, like.
Exactly.
Yes. So how can our tribe just connect with you and just get into your business and see those dancing classes that we all gonna be doing, beautiful? Just wait. As soon as she drop it, we gonna be there. How can they connect with you?
Instagram is definitely going to be the place. Instagram is my jam. So, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at the Coach Shaniqua. That's really where I am most of the time. A lot of things I do funnel through there. Pretty much all my business funnels through there. So every client I've had pretty much is from there. And, that's really where I've kind of marked my territory. That's where I've kind of planted my roots. So,
There you go.
that's where you guys can find me.
I'm just so happy to just have you on the show. I think our our conversation just flowed, and you had me going a little deeper. You gotta just come out and share whatever is on your heart, and it's freeing once you actually do it, so that people can know that we don't got it all together. Like, people swear I got it all together, and I really don't, at all. But I'm trying, and I show up every day, and just now I have women like you to look forward to having conversations with, and share some of my emotions and my feelings and all the things, and talk, because people used to say I used to always talk all the time. Well, now podcasting is a thing, so it's perfect for me. Who would have thought? Just keep going no matter what other people are saying, and now they looking at me like, oh, that's so nice, right?
Yeah, exactly. I want to say one more thing. I'm sorry. So
No,
one last thing. So you said telling your business, and I get that perspective 100%. But think about it like this: you're not necessarily telling your business, and this is for everybody who's listening. You're not.
Yes.
Don't think of it as telling your business. You're sharing your story, and I guarantee you that somebody who's listening can resonate with that, and that is why we share, and that is why our stories are important. So I would just wanted to say that for somebody who might be listening, who might be stuck and hesitant to share their experiences and share their stories too. Just don't look at it from a place of telling on yourself or telling your business or sharing too much. Think of it as you are helping someone else to identify and have their breakthrough, by just sharing your experiences and sharing your story. Because I get that from my mom too. She's like, why are you telling people that? That's too much information for the internet. And I get that from her too.
Yeah, and then you're so I definitely have been doing that, because I think that's where I was stuck. And I would have a mental breakdown, because I didn't really, I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't want to show too much of myself in fear of how others might take it. But then when I actually started doing that, I talked about my dad not being in my life, and my only relationship with him was when he would go to jail, and then he would write me letters. That was the only time that I still have some of those letters. But it's just that's the only relationship. So even now, I'll see him every now and then. He'll just pop up, and it's just different, because it's to this point now, it's almost like I don't need you. But then I feel bad. But then I feel bad that I look at him like that, but you wasn't in my life. But then I'm also defensive, because I don't want my two kids to have what he gave to me. So he always, popping in and out. My little son was like, Mom, do you have a dad? I'm like, yeah, I do. I just don't know where he at, but I do have a dad. So yeah, just being able to share that, and I see that it does help people, and then just reaching out to me oh, that was so motivational, I'm glad you shared, and things like that. So that's where I'm at, and just looking at the bigger picture of being impactful, like you said, and what that is freeing, and it helps me to continue to keep growing too, with a tribe behind me or beside me, because I don't gotta be in front, but yeah.
I love it. I'm so happy to hear it. I love it.
But see, you just saying that allowed me to hurry up and shift my mindset to, you know what, you are right. Like, these are the ways that I have been able to share and then get the right support that I needed, and just empowering other women to share too. My aunt, my mom's sister, reached out to me after I had my mom on the show and just said, "Now I love what you're doing. Like, I now understand my sister a little differently, and like, it makes me want to reach out to your crazy grandma, like, so like, and she wasn't even my target audience, you know what I mean? So it's just like, just knowing that I'm touching, like, I may say that this is for Black women, but like other people may, like, still find it like just as inspiring and stuff. It's just, I can only tell my story as a Black woman, and so yeah, this was a great conversation, and I love that you came on, and now we got video, so we can see like our just everything. Like, I'm trying to like do all the bobbleheads and everything.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful for the opportunity, and I'm just grateful that you allow me to come on your platform. I don't take that lightly, because I don't let just anybody come on my platform and talk to my people, like, because I really want to be impactful. So I don't take it lightly, and I thank you for creating this space, and for having me. Because I you didn't have to have me, so thank you. I'm grateful for that.
We had our chit chat. I was like, hold on, this will be perfect. You got to come on the show. All right. Yeah.